There's a good chance then that when someone in the family dies, you're going to inherit something from them, maybe even some money, maybe a lot of money, because according to the recent Federal Reserve survey of consumer finances, a little over 1 in 5 Americans received an inheritance at some point in their lives from someone. Now, you know, it can be messy if it's not planned out properly. So let's talk about that. I'm introducing you today to the top estate planning legal expert, Russell Morgan, founder and partner at Morgan Legal Group. Thanks so much for coming in to Midday.
Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon.
Now, we have a lot of entrepreneurs in Columbus, in the Valley area, people buying properties, people starting businesses. Now, when they pass, someone gets it. Let's start. How important is it to have a will?
Your will is one of the keys to your estate plan. It's one of the fundamental documents to ensure that not only the right people get your inheritance, but equally important, the right persons are in charge of distribution and payment of your debts and expenses. So a will is one of your most fundamental tools in your estate plan.
Okay, and you use that key word. That's the right way to get it done. What happens if you don't have a will and it goes wrong? What can happen?
Unfortunately, the law would have to step in and dictate who is in charge and, equally important, who receives. And a lot of the times, there are certain people included that we don't want involved in our estate. We don't want involved in our affairs. We definitely don't want in charge of our money. And unfortunately ends up in the wrong hands with people inheriting funds that don't necessarily intend to be their inheritance.
Now, can there be like a simple will that I can go to a site, make a will, and then if I have more property, I need a complicated will and I need an attorney? Does it work that way?
Sure. So there are plenty of resources where you can create do-it-yourself wills. However, we always recommend consulting with an attorney, even if you
Okay.
do prepare your own will, just at a minimum for the peace of mind to make sure that it was done right and that it follows your intent.
Let's jump to trust funds. We've heard of trust fund babies, people who were left a whole lot of money in a trust. But you're here to say that you don't have to be a zillionaire to set up a trust. What is a trust? Who should have one?
This is one of the key fundamental educational parts to our practice is educating our clients and consumers that trust planning is not for the 1%. A trust is a tool that we use to avoid having to deal with the courts, to avoid having to go through probate at the time of death, so that your heirs and, equally important, the parties that you want in charge of your estate are more easily able to access your assets, satisfy any of your debts, and distribute the remainder to your next of kin with limited court intervention and, most importantly, limited expenses as a result.
We've got about a minute. I imagine that you have heard some stories and been in the midst of them. What happens when there is no will and just families literally break apart, huh?
It is one of the most common reasons, and something that we often tell our clients is not planning ahead can lead to serious, tumultuous issues between the family. And as always, family's family until there's money on the table, and then people show their true colors. So unfortunately, and fortunately for our clients, this is one of the main reasons that we always practice that you must plan ahead, because planning today ensures for a safe tomorrow.
I can guarantee you somebody's watching today, they're going to take your advice. Thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Our pleasure too.